The story begins in a house on the northwest coast of Mexico where a man named Richard is having breakfast with his son, Taylor. As Richard prepares food for Taylor, he asks him if he has finished his homework. Taylor does not answer and continues to eat his breakfast. Since his mother died a few months ago, Taylor has become undisciplined and rarely communicates with his father. The relationship between Taylor and Richard has become increasingly strained as Taylor continues to hate his father and blame him for his mother's death. After breakfast, Taylor asks Richard for his allowance and prepares to leave for school. Late, Richard receives a phone call from the school principal informing him that Taylor has been hitting other children. He is asked to have a serious talk with his son at home because this is the second time he has been involved in school violence. Taylor returns home in the afternoon. Richard, who has just finished working in the garage, tries to persuade Taylor to talk to him about his problems at school. But Taylor keeps avoiding Richard, saying that he does not want to talk about school anymore. Richard then advises him not to use violence to solve problems. Before entering his room, Taylor tells him that he beat up bullies at school because they insulted his dead mother and repeatedly called him an orphan. Realizing that Taylor is in a very delicate situation, Richard feels guilty about everything he is going through. He tells Taylor that he will try to be a good father to him. Taylor studies martial arts on his tablet and starts practicing the moves in his room. Richard arrives to ask Taylor to finish his homework because his teacher has been complaining for days. Richard returns to his room to continue his work as a programmer. He used to be an agent for the National Intelligence Agency and a computer expert. Before he quit his job, he was the most skilled agent in his organization for executing dangerous criminals in Mexico. Richard is busy with his work when he is suddenly shot from a distance with a tranquilizer gun. He falls unconscious to the ground. The next night, as Richard recovers, he receives a phone call from a mysterious man who calls him Nero. The mysterious man claims to know Richard's past, which was nicknamed the Death Machine. He informs him that he has kidnapped Taylor. Nero was the name Richard used when he was an active agent. The stranger then sends Richard a video of Taylor being held hostage in a room. He orders Nero to complete a mission unless he wants his son to be killed by poison gas. Richard has no choice but to obey. The stranger has provided him with a bulletproof SUV with the GPS of where Nero is to go, as well as weapons, ammunition, and a camera to broadcast his live view. Nero then goes to the location without knowing what mission he has to carry out. In the middle of the trip, Nero has a chance to communicate with Taylor. He tries to calm his son by telling him that everything will be fine. When communication breaks down, Nero asks the stranger to guarantee that his son will be released at the end of the mission. The stranger gives his word. When Nero arrives at a hotel, the mystery man orders him to kill two drug cartels that are holding a meeting, the Rosa and Garza cartels. The scene shifts to the mystery man who has kidnapped Taylor, also the head of a drug cartel called Mzamo. He wants to eliminate rival cartels in order to dominate the drug market in Mexico. He kidnapped Nero's son to use his skills to kill all his rivals without getting his hands dirty. He manages to infiltrate the hotel and easily kill all members of both cartels. He then goes to each room to make sure everyone is dead and finishes off the remaining members in the kitchen after an intense fight. Nero rushes to his car and leaves before the police arrive. Unfortunately, Nero's mission does not end there. Mzamo sends him more coordinates and asks him to complete the same mission there. He seems to enjoy the game he has arranged for Nero, watching the action scenes on TV with his men and his wife Alanza. Soon after, Mzamo's partner Donovan, another cartel leader, approaches Mzamo and asks him if their plan is going well. Donovan was the one who told Mzamo about Nero's abilities, and it was he who suggested he carry out the mission. Nero arrives at the second destination by following GPS coordinates. Here, in a nightclub, he must kill another cartel group led by Eleazar Machado. Nero kills all of Eleazar's henchmen, then goes to the room where he is having fun with a woman and kills him as well. After completing the second mission, Nero asks Mzamo to give him a chance to talk to his son. When this is granted, Nero apologizes to Taylor for putting him in a dangerous situation. He then tells him that he was a Secret Service agent whose job was to eliminate criminals. He also reveals that Taylor's mother was killed because his partner betrayed him and revealed his identity to the criminals. Taylor apologizes for hating and blaming her father without knowing the truth. Meanwhile, Mzamo approaches Taylor to offer him a sandwich and talk to him for a while. The next morning, Nero arrives at the other cartel's location, as per other coordinates provided. Meanwhile, Donovan returns to Mzamo to tell him to be careful and move quickly after Nero's mission. He is afraid that Nero will want to kill them after he completes his work. Mzamo convinces Donovan not to worry, because with Nero's son as a hostage, he will do nothing to endanger his son's life. Meanwhile, Taylor tries to free himself from the sticky rope with a metal blade and succeeds. Mzamo and his men continued to watch Nero's actions in the living room. Some even cheered him on as if it were a soccer game. the leader of one of the largest drug cartels in Mexico, Griego, receives information from his associates that someone has slaughtered 3 other drug cartels. He tells his men to be on the alert because their cartel is likely to be the next target. On the other side, Taylor tries to open the door with a piece of wood. Meanwhile, Nero has arrived at the Griego cartel, ready to attack. Armed with rifles and grenades, he begins picking off the members one by one. After killing the men in the courtyard, Nero is shot by Griego. Seeing Nero dead, Mzamo is disappointed but satisfied that the 3 rival drug gangs have been eliminated. Donovan, on the other hand, is relieved that someone who could threaten his safety is dead. Mzamo wants to honor Nero, who fought many enemies alone, by sending his men to attack Griego's base and avenge Nero's death. Unbeknownst to everyone, Nero is still alive and is interrogated by Griego and his men. Griego asks who sent Nero to his base. Nero says he was forced to do so because they kidnapped his son, so his goal was to complete the mission to get him back. Nero admits that he does not know the identity of the person who set this up, but he has always told him about trust. Griego realizes that the mastermind behind this is Mzamo, who has been a rival of his for years. Nero asks Griego where Mzamo lives. Although Griego approves of the information, he does not forgive Diposto and lets Nero go. He pulls a gun on him. Members of the Mzamo cartel arrive and distract him. Nero takes the opportunity to strike back. He manages to defeat Griego's men, killing him with his own weapon. He rushes to Griego's office to take his laptop and car keys so that Mzamo cannot trace him. Donovan then plans to kill Nero's son before it is too late. Mzamo refuses to give him the key to the van where Taylor was being held, but after Donovan threatens to end business with him, Mzamo complies. Nero tracks down the location of Mzamo's base using the computer he stole. When he locates it, he immediately heads there to rescue his son. Donovan and his men spread poison gas in the van where Taylor is being held. Unexpectedly, when they look inside, Donovan finds no one. At the same time, Nero arrives and infiltrates Mzamo's mansion. Donovan orders his men to be ready for a possible attack. Donovan informs Mzamo that the child is missing, and Mzamo replies that he was the one who hid the child elsewhere. Although Mzamo is the head of a major drug cartel organization in Mexico, he is completely against the violence and murder of children. In the middle of the discussion, Nero suddenly appears and points a gun at Donovan. It turns out that Donovan is a former Secret Service agent, once Nero's partner, who betrayed him and killed his wife. Disgusted by Donovan's treachery, Nero shoots him and his accomplices. The shooting begins, but strangely enough, Mzamo helps Nero eliminate Donovan's men. After everyone is killed, Nero points a gun at Mzamo and forces him to let Taylor go. Mzamo asks Alanza to get Taylor out of the secret room. Nero is very grateful to know that his son is safe. Nero wants to kill him in front of his wife, but stops when Mzamo explains that this will solve nothing. If Nero kills him, Mzamo's brother will want to avenge his death and will not let Nero rest until he finds him, continuing the cycle of revenge endlessly. If Nero lets him live, Mzamo will ensure his safety and that of his family, considering that he has now become the head of the largest drug cartel in the country. Nero decides to let Mzamo live to protect his son, because he believes that Mzamo can keep his promise. The movie ends with the scene of Nero returning home with Taylor on the motorcycle Mzamo gave him. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching.